All right. So Tess and I decided several weeks ago that we wanted to go somewhere warmer for spring break. And as you can tell, we did a really good job of planning because it is cold out here, but we decided that we would go to the Grand Canyon. And it is incredible out here. I remember we came out to the Grand Canyon yesterday, and as we went out onto one of the most famous points, Mather Point, every single person was out there and they were just awestruck by the beauty of God's creation. People from different countries, from different religions, from different backgrounds, but nobody was not just awestruck by the beauty of God's creation. And I guess my question is why is it that we are drawn to beauty, that we are drawn to things that are bigger than us, that we are drawn to things that are just majestic and amazing and that just make our jaw drop? You know, if Richard Dawkins, who's an atheist, here's what he says. He says, the universe we observe has precisely the properties we should expect if there is at the bottom no design, no purpose, no evil, no good, nothing but blind, pitiless indifference. You know, Richard Dawkins would say that as humans, we just evolved from animals through just completely random means, that it wasn't guided at all, that it was just, we were bred in tooth and claw, that it was survival of the fittest. And if that was the case, it wouldn't make sense why humans are drawn to things that are so much bigger and grander and more amazing than us. But as a Christian, I know the answer. It is because we are made in the image of God. And God is the one who decided through guided processes that he would make amazing and beautiful features like the Grand Canyon. C.S. Lewis says it like this. He says, if I find in myself desires which nothing in this world can satisfy, the only logical explanation is that I was made for another world. And that's true, isn't it? That we all have desires within us, and we try to fill those desires from things of this world, but we find ourselves that those things don't satisfy, and the only explanation is that we were made for another world. But as I said, I know why it is that we are drawn to beauty like this. In 1 Chronicles chapter 29 and verse 11, God's word says this. It says, yours, Lord, is the greatness and the power and the glory and the majesty and the splendor, for everything in heaven and on earth is yours. Yours, Lord, is the kingdom. You are exalted as head over all. It says everything in this world, all beauty, all majesty, all glory, all power, all splendor, all of it, everything belongs to God. And God is head. He is above it all. And so even the most beautiful sights in the world, whether it's a beautiful sunset, whether it's looking out over the Grand Canyon, whether it's listening to an amazing concert symphony, whether it's reading an amazing book, that God is the one who made all of that possible, and God is head over it all. In Psalm 33, starting in verse 6, it says this. It says, by the word of the Lord the heavens were made, their starry host by the breath of his mouth. He gathers the waters of the sea into jars. It says that God was able to breathe stars out of his mouth. This is the God that we serve. All of creation points back to God's glory. And that's why we are drawn to beauty and to majesty and to splendor, because they point back to our Creator. There's a famous episode in Jesus' life in John chapter 19. This is known as the triumphal entry, that Jesus is coming into Jerusalem, and that people are laying palm branches down on the ground, and people are crying out, and they are saying, "Blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord, peace in heaven and glory in the highest." And people are praising God, and people are glorifying God. And the Pharisees go to Jesus and say, "Jesus, shouldn't you make them be quiet? Shouldn't you stop them from uttering these things?" And Jesus says, "If I made people stop shouting out, then the rocks would cry out." Now, does Jesus literally mean that the rocks will grow mouths and start crying out, "Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord"? I don't know if that's exactly what he meant, but I think what he means is that it would be more possible for a rock to grow a mouth and to start speaking and to glorifying God than for people to see Jesus in his majesty and glory and not glorify God who is in heaven. It is the most natural response of us as human beings to glorify our Creator. And so I just want to leave you with one quick thought. What's the purpose of all of this? Well, I think it can be found in 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 31, where it says, "Whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do it all for the glory of God." And so my question is in your life, what are you giving glory to? What is your focus? Is your focus pointed outward, where you're trying to impress others, where you're trying to make a name for yourself, where you're trying to get other people to see how great you are? Is your focus on yourself, trying to improve yourself and trying to just build yourself up and make yourself look good, whether it's, academically or physically or mentally? Or is your focus upward, where everything that you do is trying to glorify your Creator in heaven? May God bless you, and let's do everything for God's glory.